When a Christchurch suburb faced losing its post office 2 years ago, it took drastic action to keep it open with volunteers. This week, New Zealand Post confirmed it wants to shut its last 79 standalone post shops, with mail services to be offered within supermarkets and pharmacies instead. But the operators of the Stanmore Book and Post say the state-owned enterprise underestimates what post offices mean to a community. Our reporter Rachel Graham has more.
Stanmore Book and Post in the Linwood village looks pretty much like any other post shop in the country, except the workers behind the counter don't get paid to be there. The post shop was on the verge of closing 2 years ago when the previous owner wanted to retire and couldn't find a buyer. This is where Te Whare Roimata, a community trust which offers services to the suburb, stepped in. Its coordinator, Jenny Smith, who also volunteers in the post office, says the neighbourhood lost more than half its shops in the earthquakes, and they couldn't stand by and let it lose something as essential as this.
Some of the lifeblood has been taken out as a result of prior to the quake, when we lost work and income from this neighbourhood and when we lost our bank. And then if we'd lost this, on top of the fact we'd lost over 60% of our shops, it was really going to have a huge impact economically. And they are the sort of things which I think the government needs, or maybe is showing some leadership now in needing to be able to take into consideration.
Te Whare Roimata had to take on the building lease, pay a licence fee, and now deals with the ongoing rental, insurance and wages for one coordinator who oversees the operation and the 10 volunteers. The post office is open 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and all volunteers have to undergo training on the postal systems. While RNZ was in the shop, there was a steady flow of customers, and coordinator Janine Carney says they have customers who go out of their way to visit because they like how they operate, while others have no choice because they'd struggle to get to shops further away.
There's an elderly community around here and people with disabilities. So, for those people who can't walk too far, if this went, what would they do? Where would they go? Some people aren't computer literate, they can't navigate around a computer. So for those sorts of people, if this left, they probably would just stop communicating with a lot of people.
One of those loyal customers is Nick Williamson, who has lived in the community for 17 years. He had popped in to post some parcels, but says the shop offers more than just postal services.
It is like a community resource where people can come in, there's friendly staff. We need more of these things, and just to keep the community going, really, because a lot of these sorts of things have closed down, and it makes a colder kind of world.
Linwood Village is one of Christchurch's poorer areas, with beggars a common sight outside the few remaining shops. Jenny Smith says suburbs like theirs will struggle to find people to take on New Zealand Post franchises if standalone post offices are closed. Other volunteer-run offices already operate in Fox Glacier and Ngārua Wahia. Jenny Smith warns others considering the idea that it is costly and hard to find volunteers with the time and skills to manage a post office. While she's disappointed that New Zealand Post looks at the service as a business, not as a community asset, she is heartened by the government's talk of creating community hubs, providing postal and other services, as well as banking. Until then, Jenny and the other volunteers will keep one little post office ticking over a bit longer. In Christchurch for Checkpoint, ko Rachel Graham, TNA.